Here we go, yo. Here we go, yo. So what's the scenario? Welcome back, fans. This fucking show at MLB. Absolutely anywhere. Where you bought? Where you fucking bought? Big Johnny Stud coming to you worldwide. Brooklyn, New York as always. Coming out the damn chair as always. Italian Taste Mania Devil. Out the cage. Blah, blah, blah. What's up, mi gente? 11th hour, right? Time for pencils down. Can you believe it? Almost time for play ball. So today, we're going to talk a little shop, some late fantasy risers and fallers. You know, I think we're past a lot of the deep diving analytical stuff right now. It's, again, B, C, just hitting off that multiple choice shit. But we're going to try and make those last final decisions. Also, I had to kind of, figure out where the fuck my show stands. The streaming stuff over to Twitter is just not really working. I never really put any effort into YouTube, though I do have a YouTube channel with no subscribers. So follow me somewhere and everywhere or nowhere. Either way, we're going to be doing the damn thing. Nuance and context. Put out your fucking nose when you roll us. Oh, man. Cannot wait. Baseball. Yeah. Let's fucking go. We'll show off a few of the tools as we kind of rock and roll again through this 11th hour. Without any further ado, why look at my fat fucking nose any longer than we have to? So I'm going to show off some of the board. This is what you get behind the paywall. Again, protecting the fantasy stuff is only good for a few more hours. This will bleed over into the season. Every day, 7 days a week, before the crack of dawn, all the team stats, algo results, implied team totals, SP ranks, base props, and we're going to have a real focus on prediction markets and lotto parlays. That's it. I'm going to be looking to make my money by compounding interest daily, using the model to get in front of lines in prediction markets, and then trying to beat them over the fucking head with lotto parlays at night. Straight betting, not say it's fucking over and done with, but listen, people, you gotta know when the answer is incorrect. There was a time where I only touted straight betting because it's how you succeed slowly. However, right, but, that big fucking shaking ass. At the time, you couldn't get anything in money markets. Banks were literally offering you a cock hair, nothing. So it was worth it to go grind your cock for 3, 4, 5 fucking %. Knowing that there's a risk of losing, but also there's a risk of upside. Now you can get 4.25 in a money market. That's where your money should be. Take a small piece of that, lock in 3.5, go to fucking sleep. You know what I'm saying? Why would you straight bet when you could, just hang out in your fucking underwear and not work? Again, this is all about time, and that's what the Substack is all about. Find out what the hubbub is about. $2 a week, get your 5 pounds of shit in a 2-pound box. Again, just, you get the tiered ranks. Those are up on the board. I've got the cheat sheet up on the board. There's still best ball to be played right now. For all the people that love fantasy out there that I know, I can't believe how few of them play best ball. Yo, I get it. All the work is done. The management is done. That's where best ball is fucking perfect. $20, $200K up top on both sides. $15 on Underdog. Those are still spots there. $20 up on DraftKings. I think that's a softer field, and there are spots going on, and it's also $200K with a field that's 1/3 the size. So DraftKings, a few dollars more, 1/3 the size, same payout up top. I mean, that's what it's all about, man. That fucking. Speaking of which, you're going to get the pitching sheets, world famous. That's what this bitch is all about, along with the custom earn run indicator. Check out the feed, our MLB MA indicator that you can see up there next to expected ERA and Sierra. Well, we tested out better than both of them. Let's fucking go. You know what I'm saying? When the train's coming through the tracks, get the fuck out the way because we are killing it right now. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. But we're, working really hard. I really am. You got to forget the companies, forget the corporations, all bullshit. You want to support your creators directly. And again, I'm going to save you $2 worth of fucking time a week once this shit starts. You format this shit. You fucking break it down. You get X Wobacon, motherfucker, because you can. It's just not worth the time, even if you can. So I'm going to have all this stuff waiting for you. You see the pitching sheets up. The same come for offensive stuff. We got hitting stats and the bullpen report because we want to know, again, if you're betting or you're playing daily, anything to do with daily fucking baseball, if you are not aware of what relievers have gone 3 days in a row, who have thrown more than 40 pitches in the last 2 days, and all the things that keep them unavailable. You're fucking out. You're going to be behind the times. That's been another part of the model while we're always ahead. And I'm really looking forward to prediction markets this fucking season. All right, let's talk about a little Fantasia baseball. Shout out to the 45 people watching live right now. Maybe this is getting seen by fucking people. I swear. Twitter is just driving me crazy. I'm not going to rant and rave on it right now. That's like an after hours thing. We'll do the nude thing then. All right, so I want to shout out our guy really quick, Ben Tidd. If you could follow Ben on Twitter, friend of mine, friend of the show, also very accomplished fantasy baseball player. He finished third in the 2022 main event. You can get him at BreakingBen_T. So I wanted to shout out Ben because he and I apparently are on sharing one of the universe's wavelengths. I guess I could go for me, just for a second. So while I shoot over to what I wanted to share in the show. So again, shout out to Ben because I was thinking about, well, what's really useful right as we're getting ready to close the door on fantasy. And it's, the risers and fallers, right? Who might be moving at a disproportionate speed where site ADPs and Qs have not caught up, therefore creating some kind of edge or a rake to step on, right? Depending on what direction we're talking. So as I was thinking that, right, the monkey up there banging the fucking cymbal was like, oh, that's a good idea. Of course, a smart person like Ben was already not just on top of it, but did the work for us. So you can see up, Ben, again, did the work so we don't have to. Shout out my guy. Again, the best fantasy players are working very hard. They're not necessarily the fat idiots yelling at fucking computer screens. Ben has the largest risers and fallers in the main event ADP. We're not going to get into that conversation right now about who the best players are. Listen, the best players are at NFBC. It doesn't mean there aren't any great players out there. The best collective of players is at NFBC. Why? Because they're willing to put their fucking money where their mouth is. Now, money alone is not a barrier to entry to greatness. But listen, when your money is where your mouth is, there's investment. Also, the prestige that comes with it draws the best players. And if you fancy yourself the best player, then you should be playing in this shit. And you know what? I want to shout out our guys at NFBC again. Everyone tends to think there's this like high price point minimum. Not the case. There are main event qualifiers. They're $125. They mimic a standalone 15-team NFBC league to catch a 5 outfielder, 9 pitcher. And the winner goes to the dance, bro. I won one, so anybody can do it. Right? Anybody can do it. I played one again. If I can get in another one, I'm going to. 125 is a really fair price point, and then you get a feel, right, the muscle memory for how to play in these leagues. But anyway, so I'm looking at the names on this list. We're going to kind of break them down, and then maybe we'll shoot into some of the data to show you, how let's say how I use it, but why my particular version of templating is so effective in analyzing MLB, because there's so many teams and so many players and so many stats. You need a kind of like a middle ground. All right, I have the top name is actually blocked thanks to the wonder of that fucking live button I'm looking at. But the answer is actually Paul Sewald. So it makes sense, right? Some of these we'll be able to just kind of walk through. The next name, Libitor, that you can actually see, or the one I can see, we're going to dive into the stats in a second. Again, I want to show you why you want to jump along with what we're doing. Not only, do you want to support good people doing good work? Not only do I bust my ass and I originate, but there's I use the word muscle memory, but it's the best kind of saying I could think of. The building the template creates the platform where repetition matters, right? People simply think like practice makes perfect. If you're practicing improperly, right, the result is bad, right? Practice your golf swing incorrectly, you'll perfect that bad golf swing, but it won't be a good one. So you may perfect a thing, but we want it to be a good thing. And that's kind of what we're doing here. Again, I mentioned the earn run indicator, but that really speaks to the hand in the dirt work I've been doing. Again, I'm really excited about that because, again, if you are going to be playing daily stuff and dealing in prediction markets, having a slight percentage gain on the market, a percentage edge on the market, compound 3% every day for 100 days. See where that fucking takes you. If you start with a couple $100, a couple $1,000, we're all gonna be fucking millionaires, and we don't want to bet on any of the games, which is fucking outrageous. What a world. So anyway, Paul Sewell, Arizona might stink. The offense is good enough to definitely get you some wins. Bullpen is a bit of a disaster. That was unsettled, right? So certain fantasy people would be speculating on that bullpen, which is exactly what you want to do. However, it looks like there's been some separation. I made moves on Kevin Ginkel. Well, he's having a terrible spring. That's the right answer. You probably want to go with Paul Sewald. He's created some separation. He's also has a track record of closing games. So that's a pretty good spot where you could see a 65 pick jump, almost 70 pick jump for Paul Sewald sounds kind of outrageous on its face. But when you think about how closers affect overall rankings, right? To jump out of a tier and into, again, Sewald, even if you think Arizona blows, even if you think he fucking blows, doesn't really matter. It's a category game. You're just looking for saves. If you think he's going to get him, he has a certain value. He's got to jump next to, I don't know, Sir Anthony Dominguez, right? You think of the other worst guys you think that could get closer saves. I mean, maybe Riley O'Brien. We don't even know if O'Brien is going to get it. All right, now let's get into Libertor. And this is really where I kind of made my bones in this stuff. Not just that I understand it, but I understand it and am able to kind of build like a stream of consciousness as I make my argument. It's because of the access to properly templated information. Again, if you sign up for the Substack, you get all this stuff and you could sort it, right? So, and then a part of this also is one of the things you're going to learn again, and I'm catering to boomers, but you have to understand a little bit of learning can take you a long way. Just even something like sorting, right? So if you understand the sorting functions on sheets, meaning if you sort innings pitched highest to lowest and then sort teams A to Z, you'll get every team in alphabetical order by the number of innings pitched. Holy crap, this is a beautiful thing. I have ADP. You could also sort by name, but that's kind of up to you, depending on what you're looking for. So now let's get into Libertor, who, of course, right off the bat, I'm a draft capital hawk, and I'm not going to go into this kind of detail for every player, but I do like to highlight the pitching sheets and how we use it. Okay, so you get your surface stuff, right? Innings pitch, ERA, WHIP. Got to be careful with just ERA and WHIP. Why? Because any 2 points can make a line, right? All 2 points make a line. That's like a mathematical, geometrical rule. You need, almost like definitionally, you need a third point in order to ensure any type of validation. Wow, I got to clip that for fucking Insta. But this shit matters. Low ERA, low WHIP. You're close to that. But you still should not be asserting. You could infer that this is a good pitcher. WHIP being more important than ERA, right? ERA more vulnerable to, I like to call it the 3 legs on the luck stool. Left on base, BABIP, homer to fly ball rate. All things that, though generally will regress to the mean, we have to know when, right? It's our job to understand when. And this is where some of the sheets come in, right? Homer to fly ball rate for a pitcher. Well, let's use Libertor. So again, you get the surface stuff, earn run indicators. I have breakdowns of the four-seamer, velo usage, stuff plus in the four-seamer alone. Then your disciplinary bin, K, BBK minus BB, swinging strike, CSW, ball rate, greater than send, walk rate, right? Greater than sign. It's more important than ball rate is going to be more predictive than walk rate. First strike, chase, zone contact, right? So lots of stats, but the ones that matter, the ones that help you understand what a pitcher's doing. Beyond that, you want to get into elevation. These are the stats that will affect your home to fly ball rate. Liberatore had a pretty good one, but he still gave up 19 homers because there's so much contact, right? You see that zone contact up above 90. So even though the fly ball rate at 40, homer to fly ball at 10, the home run rate is a little high, but why? Okay, so there are two main reasons here, right? The things that we're looking for when we're trying to understand, again, that word validity, the strength of these numbers. Number one, infield fly rate was extremely low. Okay, now you want to back it up. Generally, that's a sign of low velo, poor stuff on the four seamer. Again, remember, stuff plus on the four seamer, reverse engineered velo, shape, extension, spin. Liberatore lacking in those critical elements. Again, rise matters. Infield flies are generally high fastballs that hitters get underneath. If you don't have great stuff and or velo to win up in the zone, you're not going to get the pop-ups. He doesn't get that. Also, the barrel rates in the double digits for Liberatore. Pop back over. Sorry about that. You pop back over to the power basket, right? That's the last piece. They're in this order for a reason, in order of pitcher control. Now, granted, the surface stuff is to build the macro, right? Because I think that's most important. Macro before micro, then the pieces of the macro that matter. Disciplinary approach. Is he a strike thrower? Do you induce chases? Can you generate whiffs? Before elevation, is the ball kept down? Before power, contact. Lastly, splits. Also, you see, I've got totals because I know I have some people out there that they take my sheets, copy them, and fucking generate their own. So I like to put all the totals. These are a little bit short of the things you're going to get in season because there's no prop betting going on right now. But once the season does start, outs per game, walks per game, strikeouts per game. Those are very, very, very important. And again, I'm going to have them all in your face, fucking formatted. You sit down, the work is done. Go get them. Instead of, for all the people that have their daily routine where they grab data, scrape data, back and forth, 1,000 fucking Chrome tabs. Did you have to remember anything? You don't want to be doing that. That's not only inefficient as far as time and your money, but it's inefficient as far as thinking goes, right? That's what I was alluding to with the quality of, well, you got to drop a bomb for that. The quality of the templating, right? Because when it's set up properly, you know where everything is, right? This is how organization matters. As you're thinking, you know where it is, you know where to find it, you don't get distracted, and you can continue to build off. Now let's try and put it all together for Matthew Liberatore, what we think about it, and then why it doesn't matter. But again, right, there are elements of analysis that are not found in the spreadsheet. You just gotta drop another bomb for that. So let's start back at the beginning with Liberatore. Someone says, John, quick breakdown of Liberatore. Obviously, I don't remember any of this stuff. 4.21 ERA, 1.31 WHIP. So the WHIP pretty high. Makes me worried the ERA might even be too low. You see that reflected in the expected ERA at 4.9. However, mine is telling you that the ERA is somewhat valid at 4.36. The approach is not great, but the command and the control are really good control. He doesn't walk batters. And though he doesn't generate a lot of swings and misses, he does get ahead and can generate chases for that high amount of zone contact. We'd like to see more ground balls from that lack of stuff, but he is pretty good at limiting hard contact. Again, assume because of the control. Now, where does that fail us? That fails us because this world is not static. It's dynamic. Liberatore, number one, he's only 26. Number two, first round fucking pick, man. You got to give these guys some grace. He has 334 innings in the bigs. That's a lot, but it's not a ton. Right? It's not enough to throw away a former first rounder that's still yet to reach physical prime. We generally only talk about that 27 season for hitters, but it also matters for pitchers. So there in 7 million words or less is a little bit of what you get when you sign up. So don't be a fucking cheap bitch. Sign up for the Substack and make all your dreams come true. All right, now let's I'm a fucking idiot. Let's get back into let's get back into the risers and fallers. This is the work of the incomparable Ben Tidd, friend of mine and yours. Now, I think we could just talk through some of that. Again, if I had 8 hours, we could probably break down every player and how we feel. That's what I'm looking to do. Let's mention the players and see if we're buying it, maybe, and why we've had the move. Connolly early, supremely talented. I'm a little bit surprised to see the rise here. And though I've been touting him all offseason as one of the very few pitchers I would stash without a job, we're starting to reach the range that I'm not interested because he doesn't have a job. So Connolly early, you can see next to the next player, Mick Abel, who should be probably going higher than he is right now. Mick Abel, another former first rounder, finally putting it together. I love that trajectory. Beat a guy like Zebby Matthews, who's pretty good pound for pound per inning efficacy wise. Give me the guy with the job over the guy without the job. Boston is looking to compete, and they're also good up front. They just not going to need early right away. Now, could he like somehow grab the 5? I don't think he's really in line for that. I like to look at roster resource. Again, nobody can predict the future, but this looks locked to me. Crochet, Gray, Suarez, Bayo, Oviedo, who's having a really nice spring. They also have Peyton Tolley. Tolley could jump early. And then you're kind of holding somebody instead of getting a starter and getting those innings. And of course, they could all get hurt. So early now for me is jump the shark. But if you're in a home league, he's still a guy I would fucking stash because I think once he's up, people are going to be blowing their fucking brains out for him in Fab. That's where you're seeing him go where he is, but the timing is a little bit too difficult for me. I mentioned Milk Abel, wheels up for Abel. I want him. I'm taking him fucking everywhere. Drafted him in my MEQ. I'm going to be looking to target him in my home league. Sam Basayo, this one's a little tough. Gosh, I think it's a matter of playing time. Now, I it's a little bit different than early because one Basayo at the very least is a part-time guy. I worry about the full-time plate appearances long term. However, right, but this car breaks up. It's not as good as it's your fucking big ass. Hold up, wait a minute. With Westberg and Holiday down right now, I believe the pathway to full-time PAs is open for Basayo right away. Am I still looking to pay that? Probably not. There are other catchers that the market doesn't like as much as I do that I think are in line for more at bats. Basayo, total beast. I get it. But Baltimore, with the depth that they have, I don't know if anybody is going to be securing everyday DH. And they're, Rutschman is so good. I don't think you're stealing the everyday catcher. And there are just a lot of guys out there. Tyler O'Neill, is he not going to play every day? Again, there's just going to be a lot of rotating. I'm worried. Max Meyer, this is an interesting pick. Another first-round guy, if I'm not mistaken. Meyer really was not on my draft list early. I've since opened up my mind, man. You got to expand your horizons, dude. But, listen, man, high or not. Meyer's another guy. Former third overall pick. He's 27. He's not been great. He only has 127 innings in the majors. They're bad innings. I get it. That's not enough to throw him away. The Marlins have also done a good job at developing pitchers right. Again, all the things that matter in this fucking puzzle. I could see getting the Meyer at 247. I'd rather have Abel at the same price, but I'd rather have Meyer than early. So again, you kind of have to prioritize where you feel about talent. Because right now, what are we buying on? The hope and the dream that Meyer is breaking out. He's through 7 scoreless innings with a 46% K minus BP. I mean, this is what a breakout would look like theoretically. This is what it would look like. Is it happening? I don't know. He went 1 scoreless, struck out 2. He went 3 scoreless, struck out 4. He went 3 scoreless, struck out 6, only 1 total walk. So you can see why the market would be hot on Meyer. Looks like that pick 250 is where gambles on late starters, right, are kind of materializing. So, yeah, like the Meyer pick. Painter, same thing. former top pick, having a really nice spring, playing for a winning team. I don't know. Why is he at 272 and Meyer at 247? I don't know. The only reason I might take Meyer in front of Painter is if I think I could snatch Painter after I went through that in my MEQ. I had Misiorowski ahead of McLean. Yuri Perez had already gone. I really wanted both, and even though I have Miz first, his ADP is a little bit later, and I was able to snatch them both. So maybe a little bit of ADP chicken gets you both of these guys. But yeah, I really like Painter, especially at 272, and especially if it's 30 picks after a guy like Early, 10 picks after a guy like Early, and 25 picks or whatever after a guy like Meyer. Next up, South Stewart. He made the team up to pick 156. Says they're over the moon about this guy. A little bit crowded in Cincy, but I think he's versatile, and I also think where the Reds need him, he fits. So, meaning they're not, I don't feel like they're forcing a square peg in a round hole because he plays the corners. And again, I think that's where they probably need help. I mean, Brian Hayes is very good defensively, but who's really going to play first? It feels like it's Stewart's job. So if you're getting the everyday first baseman for the Reds in a great hitting environment, he was a first-round pick, but at 1C, I don't know if that's compensation or not. 1C, maybe it's an early. I'm not sure how that works. I know he's a really highly touted prospect. Yeah, I think it's a compensation pick because overall 32, right? So he's sandwiched between the first and the second round. He's got monster double seasons, like a career minor league 300 hitter. Guy's a fucking beast. No problem. Wheels up if you were worried about someone kind of taking his job. Parker Messick, there's another great one, 280. I would go higher than that. Parker Messick won the job. Love him. I'm kind of kicking myself in my fucking ass because I was so high on Messick. Started getting worried. They were making it sound like Logan Allen might get the job or Slater Ciccone might get the job, but it goes to Messick, who, and again, it kills me because I was writing this. If you're a subscriber, you still have access to all the articles, all the exclusive podcasts. I didn't even mention that with the model and the fucking stats and the ranks and the uploadable fucking CSV and everything I try and bring because I know how hard it is to ask for money in this environment. So I take it very personally, and that I took personally. I take it very personally, that I'm providing value, right? That people don't think, fuck, I'm getting robbed, that you're thinking this is a steal, right? That's what I'm looking for. Even if the building is slow, I'm hoping the community we build is permanent and whatever. We'll see if it works. So yeah, wheels up for Messick. 280 is making me feel like, man, there are starters available late, even in something like the main event. So not to say you're punting pitching, but in a 9P situation, you could probably feel pretty comfortable leaving 2 or 3 spots open. And that's late to have 2 or 3 P spots open. But I am 1,000,000% fine rolling into opening day with Painter, with Messick, with Meyer, and fucking Abel. I don't think I want any more than 4 of these. I don't know what you want to call them. Potential breakouts, sleepers, dark horses, whatever the fuck we want to call post 250 starters. But I'm all about it. Eflin, a guy that I've liked in the past. I'm worried about the durability. But, he won the job, and he's healthy right now. Baltimore's a pretty good spot to pitch, and he's been really good at times. More of a whip guy. I like more strikeout stuff, so I'm not really into Eflin this season. Robert Garcia, another spot where we think we could be getting a closer, kind of speaks for itself. I don't like to look at ADP so much as I think you have to put closers in ranks and then follow where they're going in drafts. And once guys start going, you can't say, whoa, it's ADP. You need a fucking closer. You need a fucking closer. I don't like Garcia. I'd rather have other guys. I'm not the type to take a closer like the second or third. I want one guy that I feel really confident is getting the saves, and then maybe 2 specs, or one guy I'm only like kind of confident is getting saves or has a health risk, like Trevor McGill. I think he's the closer day one. Sir Anthony Dominguez, I think, is the closer day one, and then we'll kind of figure it out. If those guys are your closers, then, of course, you have to be speculating early. Maybe you're interested in a Garcia or, a guy like Seawald later to try and get that third option just in case things go to shit. Carson Bench won the job for the Mets superstar prospect, and I think if he's going to play every day, that's a total wheels up situation for him. Gabriel Moreno is healthy. I'm not going to pay up for any catchers, but it's only 17 picks, so I guess if he was your guy, you can go for it. The rest of these guys have only moved up a round, so let's just see if we can clump them. Crawford was just a matter of making the team. I'm a little bit worried about the profile. Let me bring it up right now. I have to go to Fangraphs because I'm not a prospect guy, and I only have MLB stats. He doesn't have any. So he's never had double-digit home run season before. I mean, it looks like tons of average. You're going to get defense and a fucking boatload of steals. Not that I won't draft rabbit types. My issue is that if you need them, something may have went wrong. That said, listen, if you sneak him into a fucking U spot because you were a little short on speed, he should be part of a speed plan, right? I think that's fine. I just like guys that provide a little bit more balance. That's just me. Ivan Herrera, interesting pick. He's healthy, may get you catcher eligibility eventually. I think you need to think of him as, if he had C eligibility, probably going like 90 picks sooner, because I think he's a legit good hitter. We haven't done any of the hitter stuff. So again, you can sort however you want. Again, understand the power of the control F. Which blew up in my face because Brett Sullivan popped up. But anyway. So you bring up Herrera. He bat 284 and a 285 XBA. Of course, I always have, I meant to mention that this is part of the hitter template. Surface stats, 5x5 rotor categories. I like average next to BA for validation, next to BABIP for validation, right? Build that understanding of, are we buying it or not? So you can believe the average. He also stole 8 bases. The Cardinals also fucking stink. So Herrera's got a chance at getting plate appearances from the fucking DH, which are huge. You hate that might lock up your U, or I'm sorry, will lock up your U at first, but he could gain it. 464 slug on a 505X, 365 WOBA on a 380X. These are really strong. 18.5K to 9.5 BB, single digit swing and strike, 29 O swing, 89 zone contact. This is like an elite profile, however, right? This is where the butt comes in. And again, this is why I think my work is the best. Except I'm not sharing it with you, so I'm a fucking idiot, and you can actually see what I'm doing here. My gosh. Sorry for your StreamYard folk. You have to remove before you add. So I'll just back it up a quick second for the video people. Audio people, forgive me. Right, surface stats, XBA and XPA. You can see I have all the averages, everything neatly formatted as it should be. Then discipline, K and walk first, but then you got to break it down, especially for hitters. There are certain, prop royalty out there, let's just call them. Certain Momo, just meatheads out there that just quote like strikeout rate and walk rate as if they stand on their own, and they don't. There are plenty of hitters that strike out, and it's fine. It happens with a lot of power hitters that may even have swing and strike. But we want to know if they're chasing out of the zone. We actually want our hitters aggressive in zone and identifying strikes for all you fucking geniuses out there. This happens with pitchers too. They might have a strikeout rate without inducing chases or getting ahead where it's not very believable, or betting on pitchers to go over their walk prop because the walk rate is high but the ball rate is low. Again, they're just, I don't even want to say they don't understand it. They don't even know what the fuck they're looking at. Right, so how could you even accuse them of? I almost can't even accuse them of stupidity. Like, you're too. What are they when they're too stupid to even be fucking stupid? So, in this world, there's so many scamming fucking grifters out there. I'm really doing my best to make my bones being the exact opposite. that I care about you and how you do. I care that you're learning and improving, that you're learning lessons between the lines that will help you in your real life, kind of resonating when you start to understand plus EV decisions and like I said, organization and when you actually want to spend your money. Because trust me, you should be a cheap bitch. Okay. You should absolutely be a cheap bitch. Money fucking matters. Value fucking matters. But when time is being saved and value is being delivered, you got to know when to part with it, because earning time that can then be used efficiently, there's really nothing better. Herrera, and where still, I mean, he still checks enough boxes to love him for fantasy as a catcher, but where this kind of fails a little bit, right? So let's bring up it's the same idea, the template: discipline, elevation, power. Though I also isolate, hat tip my guy Johnny Anderson, subscribe to the data warehouse. He's the fucking, his shit is incredible. It's literally unmatched. If you're a DFS player, it's unmatched. Nobody should be playing DFS without Johnny's work. Pull and air pull. Hard hits don't stand alone. Okay, so there's a few things up on the screen here for the audio people. Check the YouTube, check the Twitter stream, because you got to see some of this stuff. You got to see it to believe it. But it's more about how Herrera hits the ball hard, 47%, plus 95 means savant. 37% is FG with the proprietary stuff. So hard hit balls don't stay on their own. Again, one, I should try and get too many ground balls, right? So, here, I could fit all that on the screen. So here's your power, all your power understanding in one place. He doesn't hit it high enough to register on FG all the time. And also, last I checked, you can't hit ground balls out of the yard. So it's low ground ball, low line drive. This is a poor elevation bin. He also doesn't pull or elevate the pull and hard hits, pull batted ball events. So there's a cap here. Now, I also have projections. I have bat X. I got bat X 600. Everybody smoothed out to 600 PAs. Then I have all your best ball stuff for anybody that's still into that. Last year's points, this year's points, points to PA. I know we're getting a little late in the game for that, but still. Derek Hardy's inimitable. Bat 600. Follow everything Derek is doing. My boy. 266, 70, 70, 72. 77, 72 runs and ribs. 20 and 7 homer steals. See, so that I'll buy. Now, what do you notice, people? What do you notice? Even in 600 plate appearances, Derek has him repeating the same power output. Right, so don't take my word for it, fat schmuck telling prolapsed anus jokes on the internet, Trust the guy with the nice hair, the long flowing locks. I guess, for fat and 43, I'm holding on pretty good, you know what I mean? Can't complain. But looks like fucking Prince Charming. But back to the work at hand, which matters. That's it, right? That's everything I was just talking about. I should shut the stream off now. I'm going to have to go in a minute anyway. I'm getting side-eye. We got plans. But there are people who see 19 home runs in his 452 PAs would be automatically looking for repeat. But we showed you, let's say you even had the 2 pieces of information, right? Because it's free. The Derek stuff is out there in the public. I smooth out for 600 because I don't think any of us do that math properly. This guy's 21, this guy's 18, but he's 437 PAs and he's 612. And you're like, just set it and forget it, right? All the stuff I do. And again, in season, when you can think of something that I can add, I just fucking add it for you. These are not locked. These are so good because the door swings both ways. So there was in real time. I know it took a little bit to get there. But, right, that pretty much sums up with the 2 data points. Last year's home run and plate appearances with this year's projected plate appearances and home runs. Like, why don't they jive? That was why. right? Even if the hard hit balls are there, that's not enough, right? That is the nuance. That is the context that just drips out of your nose. Not to mention, you can see the 19 and a half homer to fly ball, totally unrepeatable without that kind of air pull, right? I mentioned they're not all these stats graded equal. Some hitters will be able to pull off that homer to fly ball because they lift and pull fucking everything, right? If you told me J Ram does that, I'm going to say, okay. If you tell me Isak Paredes does that, I'm going to say, okay. So another example of how we can kind of jump in and out. Let's see if I can wrap up this list as fast as can be, and then I got to get jamming. Austin Wells, another catcher with a job. Cade Horton, love Horton, but I think I'm going to be stuck with Horton in high stakes and best ball, where his ADP is like 200 or worse. Now he's at 155, which is a little too high. Clayton Beater, I don't know if he's been named the closer, but you're speculating, and I guess Cole Henry could easily be the guy also. Ryan Nelson, who I always liked, he's just moved up around because he's a real pitcher. For me, he's the Diamondbacks ace, and he's been going too late all draft season. Same for Tyler Mahle, who at 295 at the new ADP is a nice little cherry on top. If you can get him as a bench guy or the ninth P, Mahle's always been effective when he's healthy. Matt Chapman moving up, he's healthy, having a good spring. I think that is from a lack of third baseman. You know, Chapman does a little bit of everything, and it's fine for fantasy. I didn't think he was going high enough. Now I think so. Grant Holmes, I'm worried about the arm injury. I am, but at 293 in a very tough room, right? Home leaguers can add 15 picks to all these ADPs, maybe more. Holmes should be locked into the fifth spot for the Braves. They're going to win him some games. I think the offense is going to be great again. Rutschman is up. He's actually going after Basayo. I just drafted Rutschman as my C2 in the MEQ. He was going so late. But that speaks to the worry about playing time in Baltimore. Trevor McGill, I mentioned, right? I perceive him as the closer. He's having a great spring. He's healthy. Ryan Walker, same thing. And then Dalton Varsho is up around off a good spring. And I think he's locked into PAs. So that's it for the risers. I really got to get the F out of here. So maybe take a screenshot. For the audio people, I'll just read them off. Maybe I'll cover it in the pod if I can. Trey Yesavage, right at the injury. Stowers had the injury. Now it's going to be 4 weeks. Gleyber Torres had an injury. Seiya Suzuki had an injury. I think Seiya, I might still be back on at 150 if he's only going to miss a week or two. He was a guy I was super high on in the first place. So was Stowers. Robert Suarez, you can have that. I don't want any backup relievers. Jackson Holiday, 220, you're convincing me. If I could bench him, grab a shitty 2B and that to drop afterwards, fine. Woodruff, I think he's in trouble. I wasn't touching Woodruff because of the arm injuries. Estevez, not touching him, but he's still being drafted as a closer. And I think you should be drafting Lucas Ursig. Right, Abner Uribe, I just don't want a backup closer. Apparently the market is deciding it's McGill, but who knows? Mason Wynn, I don't know why he's dropping. The Cardinals suck. He should get every opportunity to fucking succeed. Kyle Teal is hurt. Interesting stash in 2 catcher leagues. Good watch list pick in 1 catcher leagues. Quan, I'm not interested. I think that's how people feel. Just a little bit boring. Perdomo, we were down on Perdomo. Again, if you want to know, you could listen to that in the hitter breakdowns, all those podcast episodes. We went player by player and did the quick dive, right? The spreadsheet dive on everybody. Mike Trout, he's off to a horrid spring, but I mean, his health is really all that matters. Paes, if he's going to play every day for the Dodgers, 150 is a good price. Noah Cameron, again, everyday rotation guy. He's good. 295 is perfectly cromulent. So yeah, you could really rotation build late. I wouldn't say that you can rotation build late. I think you should. And especially in deep formats, you should be prioritizing bats because there are so many good pitchers. Luis Arraez is boring. Jordan Beck, I like Jordan Beck. Maybe because Doyle is back, but Beck is fine. Dale Lyle, I love Lyle. I even love him more at the new price, right? Chase Burns, I'm worried about the arm injury. I kind of want to see him throw first. He did make the rotation, but I think they went to 6-man. So I'm a little bit worried about the Reds rotation. Cedric Mullins on the slide. Funny, I almost drafted him. I'm worried about the platoon stuff. South Frolic, a little boring. Andrew Habit, again, same thing, just a little boring. Guys that move 9 picks, I really wouldn't overreact to, especially in the pitcher side where it's inflated. So, all right, let's get the fuck out of here because I don't know. Twitter started doing its thing at one point. The view count starts to climb, and then you hit a point where you just totally flatline. So maybe there's something with the algo and length of stream. So let's get the hell out of here. Thank you for picking up what we're putting down at Cork Stats and the live shit. Follow me on Twitter at John Legeza. Check out the new Insta handle, John_Legeza. Same handle over on Substack. There are pinned posts with samples of, all the work. So, like I said, I'm not trying to blindside anybody. But if you're into baseball at all, I don't know how you could beat this. Just again, the time saved or just incorporating the model and the team totals and the picks or the ranks and the sheets and just all the fucking formatted data, just crazy stuff. I cannot wait for baseball season. So till then, enjoy the games, enjoy the day. When we're done with the book, enjoy the pay. It's been a while since I bet anything. I remember when you work this freaking hard, man, winning feels a lot less like luck. Please like and retweet this shit because it matters more than it should. Peace.